we were putting an extra $700 a month against the mortgage every single month leading up to this point. And so regardless of what it is you're trying to accomplish, regardless of how small the gain is, it's still a gain.
How would you like to own your home outright? What would it feel like to never make a mortgage payment ever again? On our mortgage-free segment today, we're going to interview Mike Lee from Michigan. Recently, Mike and his wife, Kris, became mortgage-free. Today, we're going to learn how they accomplished this family financial goal and what they're doing with their money now. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me, Andy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being transparent and sharing your story with everybody so they can win with money like you have. I like to start this show off with the mortgage-free 3. These are quick, short answers so people can get an understanding of what you did with this mortgage-free process. The first question I have is, what was your starting mortgage principal balance?
So we bought this house in November of 2018. And our starting balance was $401,000.
$401,000 in 2018. And then how long did it take you to pay off?
So we paid it off February 16th, 2024.
Wow. Okay. So
just over 5 years.
Okay. So just over 5 years, and you paid off $401,000.
Yep, correct.
That's incredible, man. That is incredible. Okay, and then the last question I have in our mortgage-free 3 is, what is your home value today? Because I know that values have changed since 2018.
They have quite a bit, actually. So it was funny. After we paid off the mortgage, I just had it appraised because I was curious, and it appraised for $650,000.
Oh man, that is incredible. So you own $650,000 asset home outright.
We do.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love that. Well, let's talk about your motivation for wanting to become mortgage free in the first place. Talk to us about that.
So, and it sounds so weird, but even before the days of Dave Ramsey and all of that, I can remember I was probably 8, 9 years old, and I had the blessing of knowing who my great-grandparents were. I got to know my great-grandparents, and my great-grandfather was born in 1900. He lived through the Great Depression. So from 1929 to 1941, he's a 29, 30, 31-year-old, young man growing up during that time. And I can remember him giving us just sort of financial advice, and his advice was always don't owe anything to anybody and the importance of owning your own home. And what's interesting is I don't recommend this money strategy. He never trusted a bank. And I'm sure that entire generation never trusted banks. Yeah. And when he passed, I believe he passed in like 1991. They found over $120,000 in cash stowed away in an old Michigan basement where there's, stones. It was built with stones. It was all moldy. So I actually had that as a goal of mine. It's just sort of how it was sort of, taught to me at a very early age. And that has sort of stuck with me my whole life.
Yeah, that's incredible. So when you're saying the thing that stuck with you was the mortgage freedom, not the money in the basement thing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Just check it. Got to clarify. Well, kudos to Great Gramps for his diligence. And I can't imagine what it would have been like to live through a time that he lived through with the distrust that was set up with the banking system and things like that at that time. I'm so glad that things have gotten a lot better than they have in the past.
Kidding.
Obviously, there's still a lot of improvement to be made, but a lot better than what he went through. So I completely feel you there. So at what point in your life then, in your adult life, as you got older and you had this influence, did you say, let's go for this? This makes sense for us in our relationship now, Kris. Let's do this. How did that work?
I would say for the last probably 20 years, I know we're in different parts of our lives right now. My 3 kids we're empty nesters, and my youngest graduates from college here next month. And
congratulations.
So thank you. We're in a little bit of a different place, but I think where we're similar is probably for the last 20, 25 years, we've paid cash for everything. We, while my kids are going through middle school and high school, their friends and their friends' families are taking these extravagant trips every summer and every spring break. And here's the Lee family sitting doing their staycations, during spring break. But it was because we paid cash for everything.
Yeah.
So what we did is because we paid cash for everything, we didn't, we probably took a vacation once every 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we did is, let's say we're at Disney World and we've got all 3 boys there, and we raised our boys to know the cost of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we would say, hey, we're sitting around at Mickey's dinner or whatever, and we're saying, hey, what do you guys think this cost, this trip for the 5 of us? And they're early teens, 10, 12, whatever. And they're saying, oh, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And we're like, how about 10? And they're like, what? And we're like, yeah, $10,000. So it's always been a motivation of ours to pay off the mortgage. That was sort of the last thing that we had to pay off. And we were close before we bought our dream home 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I bought the dream home 5 years ago, we had a sizable down payment because we had so much equity in our last home. And I knew, and that this is a true story, Andy. In fact, it's sitting right here in front of me. The first thing I did on a beautiful spring morning was I took a picture of this house. And we'd lived here we bought it in November. So this was maybe 4 months later. And in front of me, I wrote down the picture of the house. I wrote down some goals. And one of the goals that I had was debt-free, mortgage-free at 52.
Oh, I love that.
I turned 52 tomorrow.
Ah, congratulations. You did
so
it. Way to
so
go.
We did. Absolutely. So it's always been in front of me. It's always been a goal. We made a decision 5 years ago. We did take a step backwards to use the equity that we had to buy our dream home. Now we live, we've got some land. We've got everything that we've wanted. My wife and I have wanted in a home. We have that now. We're mortgage free. And now it's the peace of mind that we have. I can't even really describe.
Oh, I love that. Talk to me about, you said the kids are a little older. You said the last one's about to graduate college, right? So when you talk about a dream home, in my mind, that's like bigger, things like that. How does that change as the kids are maybe moving on? Is it just more fun for Mike and Kris, or like, talk to me about this? Because I'm thinking, I'm thinking me 10 years from now, if my kids move on, do I want more space? Do I want less space? Maybe I want more. I don't know. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, no. So actually, it's smaller home.
Ah, okay.
But it's we have a pool.
Better stuff.
So I was an avid runner before a tragic accident about 3 years ago. I was an avid runner. I would run probably 40 miles a week. And one of my dreams was to come back from a long Sunday run and to jump in a pool. And we have a pool. We've got, 5 acres. We have privacy, and we have an all brick home. And it was just everything we ever wanted at a home, even though it's a smaller home. So we downsized, but not to the point where we're right on top of each other.
Got it.
But from, having the 3-car garage and having the pool and all the things that we wanted, we have that now. And things that frankly we didn't want to afford when we were raising 3 kids.
I like that. I think that what I'm hearing and that what I'm inspired by is like more features of things that you enjoy for your lifestyle, but less work for you to do because there's less square footage. Am I hearing
Absolutely.
that right?
That's exactly right. And
that sounds like the dream, Mike.
Oh, the pool has been amazing. Everybody's like, oh, what do you want a pool for? Blah, blah, blah. we use it. I bet we're in the pool. So we've been here 5 years now. I bet we're in the pool 4 times a week.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. And a good use of it as well. So,
absolutely.
you mentioned a tragic story that happened 3 years ago. Would you mind sharing that with us? And then this was during the mortgage-free process.
It
I'm sure that
was.
didn't make things easy financially, emotionally. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate you catching that and asking. So May 10th of 2021, so it'll be 3 years this coming May. I was hit by a drunk driver who was also high on cocaine and
Mm,
fentanyl
mm,
at a combined speeds of 165 miles per hour. And just like a scene out of Hollywood, I can't make it up. I mean, if people were to look it up, they can watch the newscast and all of that. Just like a scene out of Hollywood, a good Samaritan pulled me from a truck that was just ablaze. I would have been burned alive had he not pulled me from the truck. And literally 2 minutes post impact, the truck was just melted. It was a Ford F-150. It was just melted to the ground. And I literally broke. Thank God, I did not have a brain injury, but I literally everything from chest down was broken. All my ribs were broken, my back was broken, my pelvis was broken, my legs were broken. Um, it was really, really bad. And the left leg was so damaged that about a year post crash, I had to have the leg amputated just
mm.
because I was just in so much pain. So that took place during that same time. Kris and I, we both lost our set of parents. It was just a really, really tough time. And thank God that, and for those that are listening in your audience, we for those of us that have good careers and we work for great companies, it's worth the whatever it is per paycheck, the $12 per paycheck to have those little extra insurances that they offer. It's worth having those because frankly that saved us from bankruptcy and actually to be able to heal over the course of 6 months and be at home and get paid your full wages because you took out the necessary insurance that saved us. It saved us financially. And I will say this, not that Kris wouldn't have been okay, because I had almost $3 million in life insurance, and she would have been well taken care of. But one of the things that I kept thinking about while I was laying in bed and healing, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to do all of that all over again. So, but one of the things I was thinking about was, man, if I'd have paid off the house, 3 million in life insurance looks a heck of a lot better than 2.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she still would have been taken care of. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but the fact that she wouldn't have had to worry about paying anything, it just would have been taken care of, was a little extra motivator for me to press forward even harder and to get this done sooner rather than later. So that's the story, and that was the sort of extra fuel to the fire to make sure that hey, that people are taken care of regardless of whether I'm here or not. So
Thank you for sharing that. I'm incredibly moved by your story, and I think it's beautiful what you've overcome. I want to ask you a question about that. Do you think having a plan or having a goal that's out there kept you more motivated to want to get better as quickly as you did?
So, I think that this is a true story. So Kris actually, she snapped a picture of it. I was in X-rays and MRIs and CT scans for hours, and I finally get moved up to the ICU where Kris is waiting for me, and this is the first time we've seen each other since she came to the site of the accident because they called her, and I was only 3 miles from home. So she came to the site of the accident. So about 4 to 5 hours had passed where she hadn't seen me. And my first words to her were, I took my oxygen mask off my face, and I said to her, I said, I want you to take a ton of pictures and a ton of video, because we're going to have one hell of a story to tell. So that was my mindset to begin with. And I wouldn't let anybody use the word victim around me, because the police like to use that word when you're the victim of a crime.
Sure.
I wouldn't allow people to use that language around me. I didn't want to be labeled as a victim, because I think that stuff can sort of take root.
Yeah.
You know, people plant those seeds. So to get back to your question, is I was motivated by more than just sort of the financial reward of paying off a mortgage
Sure.
and doing those things. I was rewarded. I was more motivated internally to say, hey, this is the sort of the cards that were just dealt to me. I'm listening to people tell me that, you know, I'm not this member, this is May, that I'm not going to get out of the hospital until September, that I'm not going to take my first steps until the holidays. I'm listening to all of this as there's a group of people around me. And my words to the physicians were, I won't be here until August. I went home June 14th. And I said, I will be walking way before the holidays. And I took my first steps independently in September. So I've just always been sort of motivated by exceeding others' expectations that they sort of put on us. And I do think the mortgage and sort of the financial side of things had something to do with that, but it was more so, I think, internal than anything else.
I think the mortgage is just is a testament to all of the other goal-oriented things that you have in your life, whether that be being a runner, being a great dad, being there to provide for your wife and your family, getting your dream home. It's in your DNA. So it was when you said, hey, Kris, record this because it's going to be a great story, you were thinking with the end in mind. I'm better, and I'm looking at this and I'm using it as motivation to help other people achieve big things. So somebody's listening right now, Mike, and I'm sure there was a point in time where you were in the hospital and you were feeling low. You were feeling depressed. You were feeling like, okay, I'm going to work hard, but today it just doesn't feel like I'm going to be able to hit that goal or that plan that I have. Can you give some people some advice for maybe if they're feeling low right now on a goal that they're working on, whether that's financial or family, for maybe some steps to keep moving forward?
Yeah, that is such a good question. So that didn't hit me until I got home. And I think if you remember when we were kids, the old cartoons where there was like the devil and the angel on the shoulder, I actually had that experience. Like now I fully understand where that came from, that there are people that experience that to the point to where I thought I was losing my mind, because I'm like literally it's going back and forth in my head. And I would say this, whether you're paying off a mortgage or whatever the goals are that you're trying to achieve, I give a talk called the aggregation of marginal gains. And the aggregation of marginal gains is exactly about that I went from being able to where they couldn't find a pulse in my foot, to being able to not being able to move my legs, to being able to move a toe. That was a win. Then to being able to kind of move a foot, that's another win. Small wins. And the aggregation of marginal gains is all about stacking small wins. So if you're paying off a mortgage and you get a little bit of extra money and you want to apply that money to the mortgage and slap that down, but it's only, let's say it's only an additional $500, it doesn't matter. If it's $1,200, it doesn't matter. And that's one of the things that we were doing. We were putting an extra $700 a month against the mortgage every single month leading up to this point. And so regardless of what it is you're trying to accomplish, regardless of how small the gain is, it's still a gain. So give yourself some grace. If you fall off the wagon, you've been doing great paying off the mortgage, and then an emergency happens or whatever it is, your emergency fund isn't quite up to snuff, and you have to get off of the mortgage track for just a little bit. Give yourself some grace, take care of what it is you need, and then get back on that, aggregation of marginal gains, those small gains while you're, trying to achieve your goal, and don't ever lose sight of the big picture. And that's exactly why I took the picture of the house when we moved here. And it's exactly why I put the goals on that picture. That reminds me, I look at it every single day that I sit down at my desk. So that would be my advice. Mindset's a big deal.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much. I love your story. I'm so moved by it. And yes, your advice is so spot on, and everybody can learn from that. Now, you have a YouTube channel that I would love for people to learn about. If you could tell people where they could go to see your inspiring story and the images that you've spoken about today, that would be great.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for doing that. I don't exactly know what the exact address is, but
I'm going to put it on the screen below us.
Are you?
And
Okay.
you don't even need to say anything right now. Just tell people what the channel's called.
So the name of the channel is called the Survivors Club. And it's very similar to what you're doing. And that is just to give hope and advice to people that are just going through whatever challenge it is they're going through, and they can see a regular Joe like me just, making the strides and making the gains, and that everybody can do it, and hopefully inspire some folks along the way.
I love it. I'm going to send people that way via the YouTube channel as well as our podcast. Everybody, I've had a chance to view many of the videos on Mike's channel. I was very moved. I actually watched it 2 or 3 times because I was so moved. So please do us a favor. Go check it out. Give him a like and subscribe. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. It was great catching up.
Want to see how extra principal payments can make you mortgage-free faster? Well, check out our free mortgage payoff calculator on our website at marriagekidsandmoney.com. You can access it using the links below and insert a little bit of information, hit the calculate button, and see how close you are to mortgage freedom.